Thank you, Andrew, and welcome to the Ryanair team to Eurocontrol. You're very welcome here this afternoon. So we're going to quickly have a look at where we are at this time of the year and where we're going to. So basically, we're just out of the pandemic, which was a trauma for aviation. And we've never seen anything like this. A 60% decline in world total passenger traffic, worse than in the financial crisis or in the SARS or anything that we've ever seen before. So really, we've never seen anything like this, and we've done very well to recover as well as we have. Interesting that we have Ryanair here today is we're looking at the IATA study that was revealed in Istanbul a number of weeks ago. But what's really interesting to see is that they now have 72% commonality of routes with what we call the legacy carriers. So when we say the lines are blurred in Europe, there's a lot of interaction and there's a lot of similar routes between low cost and what we call the legacy carriers. So this has changed in the last number of years. Ryanair very quickly got out of the traps after the COVID, and I'm sure that Michael and the team will explain to you how that happened today. But they very quickly moved, increased to about 10% over their 2019 figures. And this was really spectacular to get back flying so fast. Others struggled. And when you look at the Ryanair group, and you're very welcome again today, the major airline in Europe, and really, you know, you're operating 3 different aircraft types and a lots on orders. And I'm sure Michael and the team will fill you in on all of that today. But it's really a big success story in 2022. And, you know, also when we look at the airspace situation, one of the things I just want to mention to you is that some air countries are actually increasing. And this has been brought about by the fact that we've had to close Russian airspace due to the Russian aggression against Ukraine, close Belarus. So airspace to the north is not available, and to the south in Romania and Bulgaria is much busier than before. And this, of course, has caused delays. Ryanair is the number 1 contributor for route charges, 713 million paid up to the end of October. And you can see there all the various airlines. But it's interesting when you look at the countries. You know, it contributes the most to France, Italy, Spain, UK and Germany. So this is a really important contributor to the network. This summer was really difficult. And when we look at, you know, the year to date, we achieved a 72% arrival punctuality rate, which was still 6% down on 2019. Now, that's not great from our point of view because traffic was less. But the reality is we had less airspace. So all in all, it wasn't too bad, given that it was a start-up, given that we had airports and all of that. We're not happy with it, but it could have been worse, and I think that's the message. In terms of non-operated schedules, or what the public like to call cancellations, Ryanair had the lowest rate in the system. Others were higher, and this caused a lot of grief to passengers throughout the summer. I think it's also worthwhile mentioning that in other sectors have had a boom. Cargo is booming. It's about 13% up on 2019. And really it's going very, very well for all the majors like KLM, Lufthansa, IAG at the moment. And it's really good at the moment. So basically, to sum up, where are we right now? Well, we're down 16% on traffic globally, down 14% in Europe. Passengers are down 14% on 2019, and we're still expecting a full recovery by 2024. So basically, the outlook from our point of view is very simple. First of all, complication number 1. We've got the Ukraine crisis. We've got the invasion by the Russians. Here we have airspace at the south of Poland been blocked off every day, numerous military exercises, often announced at short notice, and this is giving us a little bit of grief, and this will continue, we believe, into next summer. You know, we have Ukraine as a member state of Eurocontrol, and we have full solidarity, and only recently we approved a package of measures to help the air navigation service provider in Ukraine. So really, we've experienced so many different shocks in the system that's leading us towards kind of deflationary pressures and also the possibility of a recession. And when you look at the outcome for economic growth, and, you know, I'm not sure who believes all this, but the reality is inflation in Belgium at the moment is running at about 10%. All over Europe, it's high. Growth is kind of predicted in the region of 2 to 3%. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but we're hoping that inflation will decline next year. So the realities is that we're faced with basically, two things that are causing us as kind of like roadblocks to growth. The Russian aggression in Ukraine and supply chain disruptions, which are causing problems with delivery of aircraft. And I'm sure the Ryanair team will discuss that with you later. I also want to mention to you is that Russian airspace is closed for European carriers, but it's not closed for Chinese carriers. And every day they fly cargo into Europe, into Liège and into Antwerp. And when the passenger market opens, this will likely increase. So the European legacy carriers are facing a competitive disadvantage due to this situation. So we now face significant risks of a recession. Everybody's talking about it. But what's interesting is it's not coming through in the travel industry at the moment. And I'd be interested in Michael's views on this. One other complication that we have, of course, is the disparity in exchange rates between the US dollar and the euro. This has changed significantly. Dollar is where all the fuel is denominated. Then you buy aircraft largely in dollars. And of course, it leads to a kind of an imbalance of travel across the North Atlantic. Americans find Europe cheap, but we don't find it the other way around. And, the jet fuel is up and down. I mean, a lot of them are hedged with jet fuel. There's a widening gap between the price of crude and jet fuel due to refinery capacity, which is also an issue going forward. So a lot of challenges for 2023 ahead. So just to kind of summarize where we are, basically, we are looking at a good winter, in my view. Cautious optimism. The winter season capacity remains at 85%. Very good bookings, and I'm sure Ryanair will confirm this for December, and also for parts of Q1 2023, particularly towards the midterm break and coming up towards Easter. But the reality is there is no sign of China reopening. So we're down about 33% on long haul heading into China. And the other thing from the outlook point of view is there will still be deliveries of new aircraft. And all of these will be newer aircraft that will contribute to sustainability. We've agreed on the CORSIA, we've agreed on the reduction of emissions and the Fit for 55. All of this is important, and we've got to deliver sustainability in our industry. But, in the next 20 years, 95% of the fleet will be replaced with newer generation engines, which will drop CO2 by about 20%. But we realise that's not enough, and we've a plan in place to deal with that. So for basically traffic in Europe, the situation is that we're still predicting a 2 to 3% growth over the next number of years up to 2025. You can see this from the Ryanair figures, but a minimum of 2% and probably a maximum of about 3%. So consistent growth is where we're at. So to really wrap it up, we think next summer there's going to be more aircraft in the system. We're still worried about airspace closures in the Ukraine and military exercises. We really have to get away from the strike situation, particularly in France, and we are working with the Commission to try and protect overflights. It's really important. Now, airports is also an issue which I'll deal with in a moment, and of course, working with the network manager. I want to mention to everybody in Europe something that's really important is there's a new entry-exit system which starts in May 2023, and the question is, are we ready to introduce this at the start of the summer season? So we're currently talking to the Commission and we're currently talking to the airlines and airports about this. If this goes well, it'll be great. If it doesn't, it's going to lead to long queues. So we've got to keep our eye on this new system that starts in May 2023. And beyond 2023, we still think the Ukraine situation is uncertain. We're not seeing any sign of any movements for peace or anything there. So I think you'll see more of the same for the next number of years. And of course, the European single sky has gone nowhere so far. We need to see improvements there. There's a 10% sustainability dividend there. So enjoy Michael and the Ryanair team, Eddie and Neil. You're welcome here to Eurocontrol this afternoon. Thank you very much.